Hello, hello. Welcome to the third talk in the Bryn College Distinguished Speakers Series.
So I'm going to be talking to you about how I stopped seeking what I wanted to do, which was my biggest problem, which actually continues to be my problem, and discover what I am meant to do. That's when things really take off. I love first grade, and I got special attention. I don't know why, but they put little folding screens around me. So the only thing I could see was the board. I couldn't see my classmates. I couldn't see out the window. I could not cope with fourth grade. It's like I was paralyzed because I wasn't given the information in a way that I could absorb it. They didn't have the tools. They weren't sure how to deal with me. I wasn't able to keep up with the class. I was being tutored all the time. So when I went back in the classroom, the worst part of having the learning disabilities is how you got treated by your classmates. So this all served me very well in life because I got to be really familiar with failure. And I sort of got bumped along through school. And if you get comfortable with failure, you can do all kinds of things. If you're worried about failing, you're going to have a lot of trouble doing things. So I've got like the best education in failure. By the time I was 8th grade, they finally figured out, hey, this guy has hyperglycemia. He's reading cross-eyed. I got with an eye doctor, and they gave me a string that I hung off the ceiling of my bedroom, and I put a softball on it, and we put the letters of the alphabet on the softball, and I was to spin it and look at the letters and call them out, but that didn't really help. So that was school, complete failure, and classmates not making an environment that was great for me. So later on, it helped me with my business because I had an environment that I knew what I didn't want to create for my employees. After school, I learned woodworking from my dad. He had a really terrific wood shop in the basement. They had dumps when I was a kid, which is fantastic. People just dump stuff in big piles, and we used to make all kinds of cool stuff out of these dumps. I don't know. People seem to have problems with dumps nowadays, but I'll tell you, they're great for kids. You get them some tetanus shots, and they're all set to go. We made a coaster out of a candy rack. We made a sail car, hang gliders, hot air balloons. My real focus was on fine cabinetry. So this was some of the cabinet work over at the Bryn Cathedral. Maybe you've seen this. This was actually the last cabinet I built before we went out of the cabinetry business and full-time into the elevator remodeling business. So this is really what I love doing, and I wasn't making any money at it. And our first child was born. So you start having these kids look at you, and it's like, well, what the heck am I doing? And my wife was trying to help make ends meet. She got into hand-dipping candles, and we were selling them at stores and selling them at Rice's Market and places. It's not a big lucrative thing to get into. I don't recommend it. I remember Cheryl crying when she used to go to the grocery store. I refused to get on public assistance for a long time, and finally we did get on public assistance. My wife went out and got WIC, which I thought it stood for Women, Infants, and Cabinet Makers. But it really stands for Women, Infants, and Children, but they shared the food with me too. So anyway, we're bumping along. My next daughter, Rory, came along, and around the time when Rory came along, my dad was partners in an elevator maintenance company at the time. And at the time, they were ripping out the entire shell and buying a new shell from the factory just to get the interior to look nice. And my dad was saying, hey, I think there is a market in remodeling these elevators. So now I'm doing about one elevator per month. So we had Greg at home, and we got a midwife, and it turned out the midwife needed a TV cabinet. So I bartered a TV cabinet for Greg. So here we are. We got these kids. I'm really at the top of my game. I'm published in a number of books. I'm published in all these magazines. I'm thinking, well, what the heck do you have to do to make a living? So here I am, can't make any money. Kids are looking at me for some, direction on how we're going to pay the bills. And then I meet this guy, Ray Silverman, and Ray and his wife, Star, wrote this book, Rise Above It. Ray was the guy, after a lot of talking, convinced me that all good doesn't come from me, or any good comes from me. I mean, I was pretty sure a lot of good came from me. I mean, I know good comes from God. You remember, right? Good comes from God and me. Because, because I'm doing this work for my family, and I'm working really hard, and finally, I see, good's coming through me. It's nothing springing from me. I'm just, I don't know how Tool got this negative thing, but I'm apparently an instrument, let's put it that way. Now humility is starting to kick in. And I've always heard this word humility, and you always say it's like something you should go do, which is a ridiculous thing. Because as I've discovered, humility is not something you go do. Humility is the outcome of understanding it's not coming from you. You can't do humility. You can't even be humble. You can just understand, well, this good isn't coming from me, so why would I take credit? And then people might say, oh, there's a humble person. That's basically it. I don't think of myself as a humble person, by the way. I know I'm a raging egomaniac, and I'm still working on that. The next teacher that came along was Peter Rhodes. And both of these fellows have written numerous books, and I'm just showing a couple of my favorites. Peter wrote Observing Spirit. The awesome thing about being married is that you get this opportunity to exercise yourself spiritually regularly. And the whole trick about the thing is that when you go to get married, you're always getting what you want. And then after you get married, all of a sudden, your spouse wants stuff too. And it might not be what you want. And it's like, wait a minute. And it's shocking. So then you end up in marriage counselors. And we're going from this marriage counselor to that marriage counselor. And we were at one marriage counselor while I simultaneously saw this talk of Peter Rhodes, where he's treating anger and resentment like an alcohol addiction, but you're addicted to basically being selfish, but you're addicted to anger and resentment. So I ended up going to see Peter so he could keep telling me the exact same thing, that I'm selfish. I go, oh, that's right, I forgot. It turned out that my wife had been trying to tell me that in so many words for a lot of years. So then I go back to my marriage counseling with my wife, and they're talking about, oh, Glenn, there's this issue, and there's an issue here, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, you know what? I think I might have been being selfish there. And they're like, wow, you're really coming along. And the therapist thought he was a genius. But this is all super helpful stuff if you're going to run a business. So this is like foundational things. So up till that point, I had really been focused on doing high-end cabinet work. That's what I wanted to do. My wife's crying at the grocery store. My kids are all really hungry. And so I think a lot of people have heard that Providence is like a river. Well, if Providence was like a river, I was driving my boat upriver, expending a lot of energy to go the opposite direction from where I probably should have been going, considering the condition of my family. And so it was really through Peter and Ray that I started looking at that whole Providence thing and thinking, oh, well, maybe I should start thinking about floating down with the river. It's so effortless. And if you've ever watched a leaf go down a river, you can see it go right up to a rock and magically go around a rock. And that's really been a secret for me in my business. People wonder why things go well for me and that I must be really smart. And the reality is I say yes to a bunch of things, and I don't know why, but what I need and who I need to have show up and what the circumstances need to be appear at the moment I need it. I'm a gatherer of collecting people around me that are positive, people that are helping me get to where I want to go. And I do my best, whatever I can do, to help people grow. I try to pay it forward because I've gotten an awful lot of help. It came to me that maybe I should systematize how we remodel elevators. So then I got a call from Otis Elevator, and they called me up, and I did this dog and pony show, and I had all the answers they wanted to hear. And then someone said, well, now how many of these things can you produce? I said, well, give enough time and money, to ramp up. Yeah, about 64 a week. That's about right. Okay. And they gave me a national contract, and I had no idea how I was going to achieve that. So I went back, and I had these custom cabinet maker guys, and we started making these things as quick as we could, and the wheels were falling off the cart. And Jonathan Simmons gave me this book, The E-Myth, which talks about making your business as if it was like McDonald's, where there's a system for everything. So anyway, I did that, and we were able to always keep up with the demand, and we grew at 30% for many, many years. And you might wonder how somebody that has all these learning disabilities can grow a business like that. So by now I went from being a cabinet maker working in my business to being a businessman working on my business. And the way you do that, if you're dyslexic, reading cross-eyed with hypoglycemia, you get an assistant. So you get someone that can spell and type and do your emails, do your calendar. And I've got this amazing thing. It's this Apple phone, and I just say stuff into it, and I go, psh, and it goes off. And then she gets it, she transcribes it. All of a sudden, she's organizing meetings, and people are showing up. And I'm like, what are we doing here? She said, oh, well, you said you wanted to talk to these guys about X, Y, and Z. Oh, that's right. And we talk about it. And I'm really good at plans and action items. I'm really bad at discipline and following through on stuff. So you hire people that are disciplined and good at following through with stuff. Another thing we do at the company we have now is we do a tour, and part of the tour is showing this old mindset. Thinking about it from Joe's position, it's like, hey, I'm not getting the environment where I'm going to thrive. I'm not feeling excited about, not getting the right instructions, not having the right tools so I can get my job done, And the part from the manager is like, whoa, manager, hey, you may be in a position of power, but you can't be using your ego to boss people around. You need to bring these people along, and it's actually your responsibility to make sure the tools are out where they need it, and that they did get the instructions, and that they did get the training they need, and that the chances are it's not the employee causing a problem, it's the manager that's causing a problem. And that's something that we don't usually see because, of course, the managers get to be in a position of power, so we don't have to worry about it. We can just blame the employees. We have, more than a dozen of these boards around the company. And every department, what that board's used for is when we have what we call a turn back, but it's a mistake, and we call it a turn back. Anything that hinders the flow of work, you go up and you write it on the board, and then every day the entire management team comes out and visits all these boards around our company, and then they go over the mistake with the employee. In fact, the whole for that morning meeting, the whole department come over and they go over all the mistakes. The goal is to come up with a mistake-proof solution. So we need to create an environment where people are like, hey, look, I made a mistake, boss. Come on over and see it. And if we're lucky, we'll make a video of it and show it to the whole company. So here we hand out tickets. So here, Chaz, I didn't know you were going to be here. Chaz got a ticket. So we should all give him applause for making it. He screwed something up, but we don't say that. We say, thank you for giving us this opportunity for improving our system. And then Chaz gets involved with the guys, and they improve a system. And whoever has the most tickets wins a prize. They win like a day of vacation, or they take their family out for a meal or something. We do a company tour, so the employees are teaching other business owners and people from other businesses how we do continual improvement. So we're building a culture in our company by, if you're teaching, that's the best way of learning is by teaching. So we're helping other people, but we're helping ourselves by our people teaching. If you can give people the work that they love to do, and they have the tools to do it, and they get appreciated for doing it by getting feedback from the customers about how great the job went, as opposed to being punished if they're not. We just drop punishment. It just doesn't pay. And I want people to want to come in on Monday morning. And I still catch myself like, is the next thing I'm going to say out of my mouth going to make this person want to come in on Monday? Probably not. Sometimes I do say something, but then I have the opportunity to go apologize. But anyway, every day we spend our time fixing our processes. And what we're fixing is we're fixing what bugs you. And we're removing these 8 deadly waste. What this has all done is it's created a really amazing culture where people are super happy to come to work. We're working as groups to solve problems, doing yearly strategic planning meetings, so we're making our plans together. From when we were just doing the cabinet work, we've gotten this kind of growth up to 18 million this year. Got an award for the top 100 fastest growing companies in Philadelphia. And for many years in a row, we've been in the top 5,000 nationally from Inc. magazine. And that's attracted the attention from Corning Glass. Corning Glass makes the glass that's on your iPhones and tablets and TVs. They're trying to expand that glass into other markets, so now they're getting into the automotive market. And they also want to get into the architectural markets. So now we can put high-end photography in our elevators. So now you can be in a forest from Vancouver inside the elevators on very durable Gorilla Glass. So we've done lots of jobs. Here's one in Philadelphia. Here's one we did for Google in California at their headquarters. And this is what we're doing now. We're getting into these very cool media walls. This is a new product line for us. It's basically a whiteboard with a monitor. But you can integrate all kinds of technology into it. And the whiteboard, we put actuators on the back of the glass that you write on. And I actually have one in my office. We put actuators on the glass that are in front of the TV screen. And we vibrate the glass, and the glass becomes the speaker itself. We showed this to Disney, and they were really excited about being able to have long murals of graphics where the sound's just coming out of the mural with no speakers at all. Oh, thanks. So I'm thinking we're at the beginning of business here. This is actually one that's in my office right now. Did one in the R&D center in Corning in France. We've gotten a lot of interest. All these people, we're talking to all these companies that are all interested in buying multiples of these. A lot of people are saying they'd like to have it in all their conference rooms. We're also getting into paneling systems for wall systems. And it turns out there's a huge market for these little phone booths. We're going to be making these in our plant up in Canada. So we have a 36,000 square foot building there. So this is what that plant looks like. It's our CNC saw. So basically my conclusion is, if you looked at your life like a book, it turns out that all the cruddy stuff that happens, like struggling in school, losing my daughter, living in poverty, that's all going in the same direction as all the good stuff and all the help I've gotten from all these amazing people. So, in conclusion, I hope you can think that it might be a good idea to stop thinking about what you want to do and discover what you're meant to do. Thank you.